Hi, everybody. Sorry for coming on the, the notice. But it's 1,909 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room there on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. The the front door to the United States. It's the epicenter for all the criminal trafficking, and he was forcibly removed from his barracks room as a U.S. Army soldier and taken to a soundproof room where they took his life. They took his life, and then they stole his body off of Fort Bliss. It was dismembered and it was trafficked across the border into Mexico. And so, of course, 2020, um, July 2020, and it was hell. It was absolutely with all the COVID nonsense, and it was really. I We went over the border probably 3 dozen times, and yeah, it was made things very difficult to try to get the truth. But God has a plan, and here we are over 5 years later, and this is beyond. This is way beyond any kind of Iran Contra scandal. This is so much bigger, and we didn't know that. We didn't expect that. This is just where the evidence has led, and the evidence has confirmed that this is really big. This is big time criminal trafficking, that Richard was a whistleblower. He was a whistleblower for it, and also for his knowledge on the orchestration and cover up of the Walmart mass shooting. The Walmart mass shooting was after Richard became a whistleblower. This is very important for people to understand, that Richard was a whistleblower before. Now, you might go and do some searches online, and there is false information about Richard. Richard is a distinguished honor graduate for his class in basic training. That means he was number one in basic training, and he was number one in AIT, advanced individual training. Richard clept out of college math, and 6 hours of college math, 6 hours of German when he was 15 years old. Uh, Richard joined. He was the fastest runner in his unit. Um, he was homeschooled. Uh, he's a Christian, um, and he's a hero. He's a national hero, and he or not or I would say, um, yeah, a hero because of his national sacrifice. This has all been confirmed in the line of duty, by the Department of War, um, by the um, by the President of the United States, who poured all kinds of praise on our son. And so, what you hear in the news is those that actually targeted Richard. Bob Moore actually targeted Richard, and he is El Paso Matters, who put out this false information. Also, um, there is mutiny inside the military, and that's what Richard was whistleblowing on. So there's false information about him. He has an absolute sparkling record, and anything that you hear, um, uh, anything about troubles or whatever, the only trouble he had was the corruption that he faced when he became a whistleblower, the retaliation that he faced when he became a whistleblower, the the taking of his life on Fort Bliss when he became a whistleblower. Those are the troubles that he faced. His own self, he He had incredible courage, and absolutely deserves the highest praise from the American people for standing in the gap of this cartel. Well, it's a Mormon faction, a very powerful Mormon faction. You can look it up online. You can look up Colonial Juarez, Nova Casa Grandes, and Colonial Dublin. There's others, but those are the three major ones. And this is Romney, Mitt Romney's grandfather and father. Um, Connell Witten, the assistant uh, special agent in charge there in El Paso, is compromised because of this connection, and many others. 5 years ago, when we were asked, we were told to investigate. Our investigations were really, it was like, what is going on here? Why are so many of these suspects Mormon? So that was a common denominator. And then it was all tied to the cartel. These are a Mormon faction that's tied to the cartel because of their vast property and business that they do over in Chihuahua, Mexico. Well, they live in Chihuahua, Mexico. They have two temples or three temples, I think, in Chihuahua, Mexico. I think they're building more, and so they have a conflict of interest, and they, a lot of them are dual citizens. You can look up the whole Labaron massacre that happened, 2020, when we were there, over across the border. There was a real shakeup going on because of President Trump's audits. We know that Fort Bliss was being audited, and that's why there was a lot of hit back to try to discredit President Trump and his work to try to secure the border and to strengthen our military, to get rid of the cartel criminal trafficking. And that's why really the Walmart mass shooting, it's very, very interesting. I've posted a lot. The narrative is all false. The narrative is so false, okay? So, and don't believe me, go check all of our investigation. And why is that important um, to our son's case? Um, because the same people that orchestrated the Walmart mass shooting are the suspects in the taking of the life of our son. And Richard was a whistleblower for this criminal activity in regards to the Walmart mass shooting. So I hope that explains. There's a lot of crossover. There's a lot of evidence intertwining our son's case and the Walmart mass shooting case. And we have documented it, and we've posted it, um, most of all of it, on Facebook, on X, and you can absolutely go there to go through it. We've tried to do everything to make it easy to understand, because some of this is convoluted, but we've put it to music, we've put it to poetry, we've made all kinds of memes, we have written all kinds of stories to put it out there so that people will understand the severity of this situation. And we're very grateful that President Trump, when he took his oath in January of 2025, um, the first thing he did on that very day was absolutely to start um, addressing the issues, the crime there at the border, at the front door, the epicenter of the criminal trafficking in El Paso, Texas. That, of course, it's a sister city, a Siamese sister city to Juarez, Mexico, which is in the state of Chihuahua. Um, so they are, just separated by a fence, and they're very, people can cross over. And what has happened is the cartel have developed a body disposal scam that they've profited. They've learned how to profit from it over these. I bet it's been happening for a long, long time. And this is a funeral business. And this was another common denominator that we discovered very early on, that these people were all in the funeral business and the mortuary affairs business and the mortuary operations business, and in the insurance business and in VA disability benefits or death benefits, also with uh, uh, unidentified migrant benefits, right? Uh, so this was early on, and we were just didn't even think that people would be that evil, that low to have this, to recycle dead bodies, right? To do even worse things for profit when it came to the funeral business and the mortuary business. And now, years later, with the investigations getting more and more detailed, we we suspect that our son ended up at Plenitude Crematorium. Now, of course, he was dismembered, so it could be part of him at Plenitude Crematorium. But we have an arrest that just happened um, at Del Carmen there in Juarez for four bodies that are misused, hiding in her own in a house. And can you believe it? I mean, they take these bodies and they stack them up. And in Plenitude Crematorium, there was over 400. Yet it's Nancy of the Del Carmen that has been arrested for the four bodies, and we're waiting for Rafael Arellano Caron to be arrested for the over 400 bodies that were being recycled and being used and abused, while misleading with fraud the families with urns filled with just ground pulverized stone, or sometimes animal bones. Um, so it was a really gross scene, a lot of rats and a lot of smell. And so we're getting to the bottom of this, so the lady of the funeral home was arrested, and of course, Purchase Funeral Home is part of this, and so is Martin's Funeral Home and several other funeral homes that are connected to this, um, which is really important in our son's case, because they have direct connections with El Paso, with Fort Bliss, and then they have the ability to cross the border because of their fast track, I guess, or fast track lane that and permits that allow them as a funeral business to cross that border freely without any scrutiny. Um, this is beyond belief, because and it's true, because you have to have the medical examiner as part of this, which he's illegally in this country. And then you have to have the county clerk as part of this, because her stamps, her seals, her her ability to do all the paperwork and certificates and everything is very, very important to this, very important. And she is absolutely known to be a fraud and a tamperer and a leaker. And then of course you need to have the county judge, who is just an administrator. He doesn't have a law degree. The county judge is just an old name. He's more like the county administrator. And, you have to have someone that's corrupt and complicit in all of this. And that's Judge Samaniego, right? That's Judge Samaniego. So, and he's proved himself to have a very, very bad character. So, this is like a death triad that it is a pipeline to the funeral homes, just to get all the paperwork done and make sure, the autopsies are covered, and and then they have protection to run this network, by the protection of the county judge. So this absolutely is uh, possible. All the all the evidence says more than just that it's possible, and this is why we believe that our son's remains ended up there at Plenitude Crematorium. This is about the repatriation of our son's remains, because we know that they found them. They know that where they're at. Um, and this was confirmed years ago. So, yeah, yeah, years ago. Um, so this arrest of Nancy of the Del Carmen coincided with the arrest of El Pato, which is the duck, and he is a lead um, El Chapatos, uh, Sinaloa cartel member. And this is very important because he's very high ranking. He's a big fish. And so, it's um, this search for Richard just got very interesting, and to say the least. And now, in retaliation for that, in retaliation for those arrests, a pilot, and we've exposed pilots, right, in this whole thing. Dallas Hart was a pilot. Dolores Montanez is pilot. And this pilot for the Attorney General office there in Mexico, he was kidnapped and tortured and killed. This is in retaliation. They made a sign. They dumped his body on the road to send a message. And I know they're trying to silence people, and they're desperate. They're very, very desperate. It's really stupid to do that because then they commit another crime, right? But and a major crime, a crime worthy of a death penalty, right? So, but they're very desperate. They're not thinking straight because President Trump, we know has the CIA over there. Um, and a lot is going on to find Richard and bring Richard's remains home. So that is a revisiting. So much news, but I put up a bunch of stuff with the Walmart mass shooting to revisit that. I hope you all review it. You can ask me questions. I know that case pretty well. And I can tell you right now, because of everything, I mean, when you're researching it and then you're making videos and you're, writing lyrics and poems and creating memes and writing letter after letter after letter, filing the criminal actions that you find. documenting it all and filing it to the right place. And then you get to know a case really well. We know the Walmart case pretty well, very well. And we're glad to answer any of your questions, and also any in regards to Richard, too. So that needs to be up there also. I did add DPS Jose Sanchez's um, case that we filed so that everybody would understand that Brooks, uh, Patrick Brookshire, that he violated his duty so much, y'all. And it shows you with the plant the of the CID um, over there on Juarez too. Intelligence and all of that involved really declare what's going on right now. Full activity. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. It's midnight here, so I am absolutely, there's no time to sleep. Even though you might want to sleep, there's no time to sleep because this is so important. And reestablishing the rule of law there in El Paso. And in order to do that, um, uh, you have to face the crime that has been committed, and the crime that has been committed is huge. So you know, uh, but it is being addressed very quickly now, and you see that by just the people that are interested in this case. And of course, the government lockdown, right? The government lockdown or the government closure. So, absolutely, thank you so much for all of your support and all the information that you're sending. And I'm going to go get some sleep and refresh a little bit. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Thank